It's decommissioned choppers and trucks for days. You name it, Ukraine is desperate for our unwanted stuff. So why is Australia selling our military gear to the highest bidder instead?
It's day 944 of Russia's war with Ukraine. But while Ukraine cries out for more aid from its allies,
Russia's relentless attacks mean further support is necessary.
in Australia, decommissioned military kit is being sold to motoring enthusiasts online instead.
Don't miss your chance to score big.
Unlock the ultimate off-road experience.
From long-range patrol vehicles and Land Rovers to jerry cans and fold-out stretchers, this reseller holds online auctions for military kit every month.
Bidding starts at just $1.
It's wrong. It's disgraceful. Ukraine's fighting an existential fight against Russia, and they need this gear.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Despite Ukraine formally asking Australia to donate old tanks, a $550 million fleet has been mothballed.
Give them these tanks. They're doing medical evacuations around the front in Hilux utes.
And earlier this year, when Ukraine requested our retired Taipan choppers, we chose to bury them.
It's too late. They're potentially not safe. They're not the right platform for Ukraine.
If the Ukrainians are prepared to operate this aircraft, then that's on them.
Since the war began, Australia has provided $1.1 billion in military assistance to Ukraine.
We've made clear to Ukraine that we will be there for as long as it takes.
We remain the largest non-NATO contributor to Ukraine's fight.
Except we're not. Switzerland, Japan and Austria all donate more.
We can't allow the passage of time and the fact that, frankly, some politicians have got bored with this issue, get in the way of the urgent need to be as supportive of Ukraine as we were 2 years ago.
Last week, a Senate report called for the government to change its policy, that all unwanted military kit should first be considered as a gift to Ukraine. So as Ukraine fights for survival, is Australian support falling short?
What happens in Ukraine affects us.
Putin has stolen much already, but he will never steal the world's future.
It's not, frankly, a big ask. Ukraine is a democracy fighting for its life.
Kateryna Argyrou is from the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations and is calling on the government to send retired military gear to the battlefield. We spoke to her a little earlier. Kateryna, it's a wide variety of equipment, but how much of this do you think Ukraine needs?
In terms of your question, how badly is it needed? The reason we found out about decommissioned equipment that's being sold on the Pickles website actually came from Ukraine. So that is how it was brought to our attention, and it was specifically the types of things that are being auctioned off there is what Ukraine needs. More specifically, transport vehicles, to transport personnel to and from positions, to transport simple things like food and water to positions. Otherwise, soldiers have to walk and carry it. And most importantly, to provide medical evacuation capabilities, because there are instances where soldiers have to carry their mates off the battlefield by foot, 5, 8, 10 kilometers. So this is exactly the type of equipment that Ukraine is asking for.
Some of the reasons the government has given in the past is that this military equipment has been unsafe. For example, the Hawkeye, there are apparently unresolved braking issues with that vehicle. We also know that the Taipans have had some serious problems. There have also been security concerns. So are these good enough reasons for the government not to supply this kit?
Well, I would like to ask, and the Ukrainian government has asked this as well, is let Ukraine do the risk assessment. Risk assessment in a non-war situation in Australia is very different to the risk assessment that's currently happening on the battlefield in Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers and the Ukrainian army is using antiquated equipment. They're using things from the Soviet era. They're using whatever tools they have to do the work that they need to get done. So something that is deemed unsafe, perhaps in Australia, has a completely different risk assessment in Ukraine. If they say it's good to go, then please consider sending it.
Why do you think the Australian government is holding back on sending this military support to Ukraine?
To be honest, I don't know the exact reasons. I've heard many different reasons. Maybe it's a liability issue, but if it's a liability issue, then get Ukraine to sign a waiver. If it's a transport issue and the government can't find a solution, you can lean on the community. We're more than happy to help find that solution.
Kateryna, you're clearly in touch with people on the front line. I understand you have family members there. How are they holding up?
To be honest, it's very difficult. Ukraine has unfortunately slipped from the headlines, but what I hear from my family members, I had 6 of my family members on the front line. Right now I have 2. The rest have been injured. They are incredibly outnumbered. They are fighting so hard with so little. My cousin that's currently on the front line, the thing that he wants to do the most is to go home to his children. He's got 2 little boys at home. I will go to my babies after this and help prepare them spaghetti bolognese and enjoy a nice dinner. But you know, my cousin and thousands of men like him can't do that right now because they are up against a formidable force that is the Russian Federation that is sending absolutely everything that searches and destroys into Ukrainian territory, not only targeting the front line, but civilians and children and the elderly. Please, we plead with Australians, which we know that the overwhelming majority of Australians, over 80%, recent polls have shown that they support the Australian government sending more aid to Ukraine. So please do it and help save Ukrainian lives, because without you, we can't win this.
Kateryna, it's such a hard situation for you and your family. We can clearly see that in the way that you're speaking. But it's an important message that you share. So thank you very much for sparing some time for us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.